Were you surprised that the Cavaliers were able to get it done last night and this whole series against a pretty good Bulls team?
Well, the Bulls were up 2-1 and up 11 with 13 minutes left in Game 4. And that's the game that James made the long jumper to win it at the buzzer. And they had him on the ropes. They couldn't finish him off then. They lost a close Game 5 on the road without Pau Gasol. And then Taj Gibson was ejected. And then really, like last night in the second half, they did not play with the energy of a team that looked like it believed it could beat the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So how does that happen? Is that just because of the dagger at the end of the game on Sunday?
No, I think they were down 14 at half, and again, Gasol being hurt, I think they're limited offensively to begin with. Rose played a very lackluster second half, and they just don't have a lot of offensive weapons unless they're healthy and whole, and they just didn't play well enough. And LeBron James puts such pressure on your defense that even when he shoots poorly, he's always attracting the second and third defender, which leaves other players like Dellavedova and J.R. Smith open, and they made plays, and they deserve to win that series.
A lot of rumors that New Orleans got rid of Monty Williams in the hope to hire Tom Thibodeau. I know you're a big fan of Thibodeau and a friend as well. Do you believe his job is in jeopardy in Chicago?
Well, first of all, Monty Williams, I coached him at the Knicks as an assistant coach, and I have so much respect for him, his coaching ability. That one caught me totally off guard because they made the playoffs, and so I was very surprised. But it's the NBA, and with Tom, if Chicago makes a change, there's nothing for him to defend or have to explain. All you have to do is look at the record. Southern's best record of all time, even with all the massive injuries that they've undergone over the past, 4 years. And, there's stupid things done every day in pro sports. And if they choose to change directions, Tom will have many suitors, and I think Chicago will be a lesser team because of it.
Now, do you give the winner of Washington-Atlanta a realistic chance to beat Cleveland?
I do. I think you have to have, and this is where the Bulls, when they let Luol Deng go, they used to have two guys who could match up with James. And so when they let him go, it's strictly left to Jimmy Butler. I think when you're looking at Atlanta, if they were to move on, the loss of Sefolosha when he got injured in that incident in New York leaves them without one of their best perimeter defenders. So it'll be on Damari Carroll. And they'll maybe, I don't know who their secondary matchup would be. The other thing Cleveland does is they can downsize, put James at the 4, but they really don't lose a lot inside. But how many 4 men can match up with him? But I like Atlanta. They've struggled, but they keep finding a way. I think they'll beat Washington in this series, and then it'll be, the top 2 seeds going at it. And I think, Washington, they don't have good matchups necessarily, but if they can find their way through and win Game 6 and win Game 7, I like their speed of their backcourt. I think John Wall and Bradley Beal could really cause problems for the backcourt of Cleveland. So it'll be interesting. I expect Cleveland to make the finals, though.
We are talking with Jeff Van Gundy, our very own here on the Michael Kay Show. I have 2 quick questions about the Cleveland situation. Number 1, did David Blatt undermine his reputation and authority by forgetting how many timeouts there were and then drawing up a play where his best player was going to inbound the ball and then have the best player overrule him?
I would say no to both. I think all coaches in the heat of the moment have made decisions that you have to later apologize for. I thought he was very intelligent in acknowledging that he made a mistake in trying to call a timeout that wasn't granted, that could have possibly lost the game for Cleveland. He acknowledged it. He said he has to do better, and he's an outstanding coach. I think the difference between maybe Michael Jordan changing a play in a huddle or Patrick Ewing changing a play in the huddle or any great player changing a play in the huddle. First of all, it's happened to every coach where a player has what he thinks is a better idea. You go with it. But the difference is I've never seen someone as brazenly offer it up that I changed the play as LeBron James did. See, to me, it's not the changing or the giving of a suggestion or the changing of the play. It's the offering up almost brazenly that, I corrected what I thought was a mistake. I don't understand it, but that's how, the Cleveland Cavaliers sort of operate. It's when something good happens, the players get all the credit. When something bad happens, David Blatt gets all the blame. He doesn't really share in any of the credit because he's been made the media human piñata.
Now, the other question I had to ask you about the Cavs is that in the Eastern Conference Finals, playing significant roles will be Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith. Is the situation with the Knicks so toxic that those guys could not showcase their skills, or did they not play well enough and hard enough because they were on a bad team?
Well, a lot of things in this league are situation. First of all, for J.R. Smith, the situation of playing with LeBron James, who commands double teams and through his dribble penetration and pick and roll game, brings so much attention to himself. It brings into play his greatest strength, which is his spot-up shooting. So he gets cleaner looks in Cleveland than he got in New York. Iman Shumpert, because they downsize and they're willing to play Smith and Shumpert and Kyrie Irving together, and they can play James at the 4, that allows them for a greater role. I think Shumpert, for whatever reason, had a good rookie year. His play dropped off in New York. And then J.R. Smith, I've never understood. I get that people don't agree with some of the off-court things, even some of the things like, when he was with the Knicks, he elbowed Jason Terry, I believe,
right?
Which got him a suspension. Then, the thing that put his team in a bind in the first round against Boston again by, hitting somebody that got him a 2-game suspension. Some of those things I understand. But on the court, J.R. Smith makes sense on a good team because he spaces the floor. He's got a quick release. So if you're a great player and you're playing with him and you can draw that second defender to you, you have someone who's able, capable, and willing to spread the floor and make threes. And so Smith makes good sense with Cleveland, and Shumpert has been renewed in Cleveland. But I'll never say a situation is why a guy played bad. Listen, if a guy played bad in a city, that's on him.